She stood in the kitchen, arms folded, eyes narrowed, not angry, not yelling, just expectant, waiting. And then she pulled it out. A piece of paper, a list, a bill. Not a grocery list, not a to-do for the house, a bill for dog walking, for putting together a scrapbook, for walking into my home, my sanctuary, and demanding payment for doing things I never asked her to do. And in that moment, as she looked at me like a customer at the counter of a store, something broke. My sister had just tried to invoice me in my own house, and that's when I told her to leave. But let me start from the beginning, because I didn't get here overnight. I want you to understand everything that led to this moment, to that scrap of paper that cracked something between us, and why, even now, with silence echoing in the space she used to occupy, I still don't know if I did the right thing. When my sister showed up at my door, she was already broken. I don't say that with judgment. I say it with love. With the ache of watching someone you care about stumble so hard, so many times, that you don't know how they're still standing. She'd lost her job. Again. She'd burned through friends and favors, and whatever was left of her savings. She had no real plan, just the same old lines. I'm trying. It's just bad timing. I'll figure it out. She was a train wreck, but she was my train wreck. And I had the space. I had the money. And somewhere deep down, I still had the hope. So I told her she could stay. Not forever. Not open-ended, just long enough to get her feet under her. And because I didn't want it to feel like charity, because I wanted her to have something that felt like purpose, I told her I'd give her $100 a week to help keep the house clean. Not because I needed a maid, not because she earned it, but because I didn't want her to feel worthless. I didn't want her to spiral deeper into the guilt and shame I knew she already carried, no matter how well she hid it. So it began. She moved in. At first, it was okay. She cleaned, more or less. The house stayed in one piece. She took walks. She laughed sometimes. And I thought maybe, just maybe, this would be the start of something better. But then the tension crept in. Small things, passive comments, mood swings. And then, one afternoon, I handed her her weekly $100, routine. Expected? She looked at it, then looked up at me. Not with gratitude, but with accusation. This isn't enough, she said. I blinked. What do you mean? She pulled out the bill. Dog walks, $25 per walk. 5 days, $125, plus $75 for assembling a scrapbook. She said she took my dog on her afternoon walks, which I never asked for. I walk him in the mornings and evenings, always have. But apparently, the afternoons now counted as professional labor. She said making the scrapbook of my personal letters, my papers, was a job. Something she looked up on Etsy, where others were charging for similar work. I told her I never asked for any of that. I told her those things were not in our agreement. And she said that they were. That it all fell under the umbrella of keeping the house clean. And I just stared at her. I didn't even know what to say. I wanted to shout. I wanted to scream. Do you even hear yourself? You're living in my home, eating my food, sleeping in a room that costs you nothing. And on top of all of that, I'm giving you money. Not because you earned it, not because I owed it to you, but because I care. And now you're billing me like I'm some client? You went through my personal letters, arranged them into a scrapbook, and now you're handing me an invoice. That wasn't kindness. That wasn't initiative. That was manipulation. And yet she stood there, completely calm, like this was normal, like I was the unreasonable one. That's when I felt something shift in my chest, something tight, something final. and I told her, quietly, to leave. No yelling, no theatrics, just, you need to pack your things and go. She blinked, shocked, hurt maybe, but she left. And now, the silence. I still have the scrapbook. It's sitting in the trash. The dog still gets his morning and evening walks. The house is clean, and I am alone with this pit in my stomach. Because here's the truth. The money isn't the issue. It never was. I have more than enough. What hurts is how she came at me. It wasn't a conversation. It wasn't a request. It was a demand, a transaction. As if every kindness I gave her came with an invisible invoice of its own. As if being family was something to be leveraged. And I wonder, was this always in her? Or did life break her that way? Would a softer version of me have paused and asked, "What do you need?" instead of reacting with anger? Should I have listened instead of drawing the line so quickly? Or would that just have taught her that it's okay to push people beyond what's fair? Maybe I should have handed her the bill. Rent, utilities, groceries, internet, the comfort of a clean bathroom and stocked fridge, and watched her try to subtract $200 from a debt she never acknowledged. But I didn't want revenge. I wanted respect, and I didn't get it. So now I sit here, wondering if throwing her out was too harsh. If I should have tried harder to teach her how to live in the real world without torching every bridge. But sometimes, the bridge is already on fire when you arrive. So, am I the asshole? This is AITA Story Vault, and if you're still here, still listening, maybe you felt it too. That heartbreak that comes not from strangers, but from the people closest to us. When love turns into expectation. When help is twisted into a transaction. This story isn't just about money, or chores, or scrapbooks. It's about boundaries. About how generosity without gratitude becomes a burden. And how sometimes the hardest thing to do is say, enough. We've all had someone in our lives who pushes just a little too far. Someone who mistakes kindness for currency. And the truth is, it's easy to say walk away. But walking away from family? That's a different kind of pain. So, what would you have done? Would you have called her out? Or let it slide one more time? Have you ever thrown someone out of your life, not because you stopped loving them, but because you finally started loving yourself? Let us know in the comments. And if this story hit you, share it. Someone out there might need to hear it too. You've been listening to AITA Story Vault, where the stories are real and the truth cuts deep.